Hi, this is Ronnie Wood. You are listening to a track off of my new solo album, Not for Beginners. Hi, this is Ronnie Wood from The Stones. You are listening to a track off of my new solo album from Not for Beginners.
Right.
They like all that shit.
Why is it called Not for Beginners? Do you think it's a bit too heavy for anyone who's, a bit innocent?
Well, I always tell my Japanese interviewers and from wherever they are in the world that I've been around a long time, so whatever I do, they can entertain, and if they don't like it, they can listen to it again, so it's not for beginners.
And by your own admission, your solo albums tend to be sort of growing. They grow, don't they? They grow on people.
Yeah.
They're like fungus.
Exactly, a lovely, pleasant fungi. That's what I am, a fungi.
Why do you think it takes people so long to realise that your solo albums are works of genius?
Well, maybe they need to go back to school. I don't know why, really. Maybe it just takes time for it to seep in.
You're in the most famous and longest-lasting rock band in the universe, the Rolling Stones. Why on earth would you want to record a solo album? Wouldn't you like to just put your feet up when you're not on, working with the Stones and do your painting and race your horses and...
No, you know, Mariella, that between touring with the Stones, we all have to keep our chops together, our fingers in motion, and the way to do that is to make an album. You'll find that with Charlie, with his jazz band. You'll find that with Mick, with his Goddess in the Doorway. You'll find it with Keith, with whatever he's doing. And you'll find it with me. And you'll find it with, like, our singers like Bernard Fowler. You'll find that probably Darryl Jones may be doing something, and Lisa Fisher. Every musician will be working between Stones tours, Bobby Keys, everybody.
What do you think the sort of state of rock and roll is now in the first year of the new millennium?
State of rock and roll? I think it's getting better now.
Do you listen to new music?
Yeah.
Who do you like?
I don't really know what I like apart from things that strike me like out of the blue. Like I like the odd Ocean Colour scene. I might like a Stereophonics track. I might like a Travis track. I take a lot of guidelines from Jules Holland, who presents a lot of the new acts, and I just keep an open mind, really. I love the Cores. They're probably not new anymore.
Not quite. On your new album, you worked with, about 5 different generations, really, didn't you? Because you were working with your kids, with Leah and with Jessie, and you were working with Bob Dylan, who's no spring chicken. How do you get someone like Bob Dylan to play on your album? See?
Yeah, by a fantastic accident, really. It's lovely that he happened to be in Ireland, and I know his manager really well, and I always get on very well with Bob, and he came out to stay for 3 days at my house, and I helped him revamp his album Before Last. And I said, well, while you're here, Bob, will you just stay there and play on this song? And it was called Interfere. So he said, all right, how does it go? And so I said, it goes like this. And so I said, okay, take it. And then we did another song called King of Kings, which is the last song on my Not for Beginners album. And he said, you can have this one, Woody, which was very nice. And while we're talking about the older generation, we also have a appearance on the same song, Interfere, by the guys from Elvis's band that said, oh, maybe you don't need us on this track. And I said to Scotty Moore and DJ Fontana, I said, Scotty, when you took a guitar solo, you are responsible for most of the cinema seats being ripped out when Elvis first invaded England. You know, it was great, you know, when Scotty took a solo.
Yeah, so how could you not want him on your album?
So it's wonderful to have him on this one.
And what's it like having your kids working with you? I mean, I suppose you kind of got used to it over the years because they've been around and popping up. But was that really nice?
It's wonderful, yeah. Jesse is a really talented, kind of Steve Croppery type, funky rhythm guitar player, you know. He's lovely. And Leah has a very soulful, Aretha-esque voice. I think she's got a lovely soulful voice.
Are you glad that they decided to be musicians? Or
Yeah.
that they're veering that way?
Yeah, I'm very proud of them because they never came to me because they thought it was too obvious to come to Dad for advice. So they learned whatever they do know from their own investigation.
Investigations and efforts, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm very proud of them that way because Jesse never said, "Oh, Dad, teach me how to play." Yeah, he went out and learned guitar his way. And I do remember putting him in a room when I lived in Richmond with Eric Clapton. And I said, "I'll come back in 20 minutes, guys." And Eric and him were just exchanging ideas. And I'm sure it helped Jesse's guitar playing. And Leah has had wonderful education from people like Lisa Fisher, who's sang with the Stones for many years, and Luther Vandross, and many other people.
You've become, along with your career with the Stones and your career as a solo artist, quite an established painter. And in fact, you were recently asked by Andrew Lloyd Webber to paint a very large portrait of all the diners in the Ivy. That must have been quite a challenge.
Yeah, I do love a challenge, and of the 60 people that I have to sketch to put into the large 16 feet by 5 feet oil painting, I've done 50 of them so far, so I'm gonna just plod on with that. And also this year I've been accepted into the Royal Academy, and they came to me, which is quite an honour. And I've done commissions for...
Accepted a piece into the Royal Academy or part of the summer exhibition? Or
Yeah.
Summer exhibition.
Yeah. I had my Buffalo accepted along with other musical artists like, you know, Paul McCartney and people like that.
What painting? Them painting.
No, but it was lovely that they came to you know, to me to ask if I would exhibit a piece in the Royal Academy. Which normally you have to get down on your knees and beg for them to ask for a piece. But also I've done commissions for Eddie Jordan and John Magner this year, and Lloyd Webber. You know.
Are you interested in art generally, or just when you're painting? I mean, do you go and see exhibitions and things?
Yeah, whenever I can.
Have you been to see the Frank Auerbach exhibition?
No, I'm more of, I go to the Prado, I go to the...
To look at classical art?
Yeah. I go to the Tate, I go to the National Gallery, but thing is, it's many years before I go to each of these places, and it's amazing how much everything changes since I was last there, you know, because I've been going there since I was at college, especially in the National Gallery, being so local. But in the Prado, I really got turned on by Goya and El Greco and Caravaggio. You know, it's just nice to see. I love the Rembrandt exhibition where they showed the
various stages,
X-ray things through the painting, where they sketched before, and you could see where he'd done his sizing up and sort of just general shaping up of how to get the picture into its final shape, you know.
Is it a brilliant way of escaping the kind of stresses and strains of the music business?
Yeah, it is, because with painting, it's my sort of balm. I'm in charge, and when I'm with the Stones or with whatever other outfit musically that I'm with, that's part of a group effort, which I have to give and take. But with my painting, I'm in charge.
You can be a little dictator.
Yeah, and I take the ups and downs. The painting could go totally wrong, or it could turn out to be really pleasing.
Do you get mad when it doesn't go the way you want it?
No, I just get a new canvas to start again.
I bet you get mad.
Shut up!
What about the fact that you've got some cover songs on your album? I mean, what's the point in covering old songs?
Everyone does it.
Yeah.
Ever since...
Why do you do it, though?
Well, ever since decent albums have been made, since the 60s. You could take from the Beatles, they would do like Roll Over Beethoven, for instance. That was a Chuck Berry song. But all through the years, like when the Stones first started, they did Because I Used to Love Her, But It's All Over Now. That old Bobby Womack song. I think that was one of their first number ones. But they would always do like a Muddy Waters or they were just reminders of the past. Like when I was in my local wine store a couple of months ago, maybe 6 months ago, before I started my album, I heard a song playing in the background from the Byrds' greatest hits, the American Byrds, and I said, "Oh, excuse me, have you got Rock and Roll Star on there?" And they went, "Yeah, it's on the album." I said, "Could I borrow it overnight?" So I just took it back here and got refreshed with it, oh yeah, all right, okay, so it's in that key, And anyway, so I took it back the next day, as promised. But the thing is, I thought it's about time that Rock and Roll Star be covered again. And the same with the English Birds, the Leaving Here. Kind of a small world there with the two birds.
What's the sort of correlation between the album title, Not for Beginners, and the cover art? Because that's a painting of yours that you painted yourself into, didn't you?
Yeah, well, I took the opportunity to paint myself in on the front cover because...
But it's arse first, isn't it?
Arse first, and the arse is much bigger than mine. But the thing is, it's probably a lesson, not for beginners. Don't try to switch horses in midstream. You know what I mean? That's what the guy that I painted myself in, he's trying to grab the reins of another horse and jump on it. But, that is a disaster.
Is that a metaphor for something else, or is it literal?
It's, in other words, don't try to do this at home, kids.
Why, or where did your interest in horses and in saving rhinos and in wildlife and in all those things come from? I mean, did you love animals as a kid?
Yeah.
Are you a big softie?
Yeah, I love animals,
Okay, what about horses? You've got a real interest in
I've always loved horses. I've always loved to watch them perform, and I've always loved to draw and paint them. And now, ever since I was a little kid, I grew up with my dad, always going around the racetracks. He had a 24-piece harmonica band that toured the racetracks down by the winning post. It must have been a fabulous sound to hear. But anyway, he used to have like £1 each way, blah, blah, blah. He used to have these bets. And I still have a little flutter. And
every afternoon.
But if my dad was still alive, he would have been so proud of the way that my horses in Ireland have come on. And they've won really big races. He would have been very proud of me. He would have been especially proud when he found out that I won the Small Breeder of the Year in Ireland in 1998, which is like comes
It's a huge thing.
You're up against all the big boys there. And I may get it again this year. if they're paying attention. Because I've had some real big group winners. Yeah.
And just back to the new album, are you going to perform it live? Have you got time for another tour?
Well, a gig in Dublin at Vickers Street for early December, and a gig at the Shepherd's Bush Empire with my tremendous band, which we're looking forward to maybe going on a bit more. You know, maybe we do some more gigs, but I don't really want to travel too far yet. All my friends in Japan, in Austria, and Germany, and Holland, and wherever they may be, they all ask me similar questions like, will you be coming, you know? And I say, well, it depends. As my main focal point is the Stones, I have to just arrange things around what the Stones may be doing. And as I don't really know what they're doing yet, until maybe the end of 2002, then I'm just going to play it safe and promote my album as best I can, and maybe get some worldwide coverage through the TV.
September the 11th inspired you to start a series of paintings as well, didn't it? Why was that?
Yeah, well, I thought as soon as I saw the images that were coming through, as unbelievable as they were and horrific as they were, I saw an artistic side to some of the images that were captured, and I started painting pictures of the firemen and the policemen and the devastation that was going on there. And I thought, well, maybe if I did some nice paintings, you know, some stirring paintings of what was going on, maybe I could do an auction where we raised money for the families of the deceased.
What were you trying to portray in your paintings?
An atmosphere of art that I got from the inspiration from seeing some of the photographs in papers like the Irish Times and the Irish Independent especially. They have fabulous photographic reproduction, and what it was I just see some fabulous images of, you know, maybe they are people going through torturous times, but nevertheless, I see art in it, you know, and lots of it reminds me they could be battle scenes from the 16th century. You know, that it's wonderfully moving stuff, and it's real, and we can't alter it.
It's kind of chaos, isn't it?
Yeah, you've got to get something good out of the chaos, haven't we?